Hello guys, welcome back to our Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Within the blink of an eye, it was already year 2062, December 24th in China's time zone. On this calm night, it had been a month since the Little Explorer team had landed on Earth. Luo Feng and his two brothers were currently returning to Earth again. In the following day, I'll build a survival base in America. This survival base has a 5 million people capacity. Of course, in desperate times, we can definitely squeeze more in. In India, we'll build a similar 5 million people capacity base. In Russia and the neighboring European countries, we'll build a combined 10 million people capacity survival base. Asia's population is bigger. In the other Asian bases, they'll share one 5 million people capacity survival base. Africa and South America bases will share a 5 million people capacity survival base. China will use a 10 million people capacity survival base. Within the War God Palace, Luo Feng announced to Earth's upper echelon. In terms of population, China definitely had a better deal. After all, Europe and Russia's population combined together far exceeded China's. However, the two only used one 10 million capacity survival base. However, the leaders of the countries didn't have any right or authority to say anything. After all, these were bases that Luo Feng was giving to them. Giving them these bases was an act of benevolence. Even if Luo Feng didn't give them anything, no one could blame Luo Feng. In truth, they didn't even know. China's survival base was a C3 grade, the rest were only C2. While the C2 grade could still barely withstand a Universe Level 1 warrior's attack, it paled in comparison to the C3's sturdiness. Earth, China. The survival base Hope was built in the north area of the Jiangnan headquarter city. The entire base was just like an enormous pillbox. This survival base's entire structure was bronze. Its height was close to 90 meters, with 28 levels in total. Its precise space allocation was for 10 square meters for each person. The survival base had an underground 16 levels. In the 6-meter wide walkways, China's upper echelon was surveying the place. Senior official, wouldn't these be too tight? A middle-aged man couldn't help but ask, tight? With a full head of silver hair, the old man shook his head. All we are doing now is adding upper and lower decks along with side decks to our original living spaces, allowing 4 people to live in one room. Those activity areas, etc., we don't even use them. How can this be considered tight? This survival base currently can house 40 million people, and we can totally increase that number. Increasing anymore, and we won't even have the activity areas. The middle-aged man said. Right now within the survival base, there were still activity areas etc. People living in there wouldn't find it too tight. A crowded area beats having them dead. The silver-haired old man sighed, looking at the inlaid mirror along the walkway, discovering that his hair had gone all white. The universe is a place full of mystery for us humans of Earth. Luo Feng, everything depends on the three of you. Earth's various countries placed all their fighters, science elites and brightest in the survival bases. As the fighters were mostly from a little district, their big movement wasn't too much of a deal. Time passed. Earth's average humans continued living their normal lives as before. Earth's elites, however, had all moved into the survival bases. Luo Feng had already reached a planet not too far from the Milky Way, a government station of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, the Jade Rock Star. It was the center of several countries around. It was in fact more central than several low-level empires. The Jade Rock Star was even closer to Earth. With the universe travel, it only took about 5 days. On Jade Rock Star, Luo Feng didn't dare relax for even a moment, using the highest efficiency to constantly evolve his body. The moment he reached the star level, he would be able to access his teacher's account on Jade Rock Star and immediately apply to be Earth's leader. In space. Around that star, 8 other planets constantly orbited around. This was the solar system. There was one particular life planet Earth. 2 enormous interstellar battleships, one leading the other, were flying at shocking speed towards it. Senior Pula, just another 2 hours 26 minutes, and we'll reach that life planet. It's already in sight, that blue-green planet. It's beautiful. How beautiful. The Nuolan Shan family fleet, after traveling in space for over 2 years, had finally reached the solar system. On that day, It was currently year 2063, February 21st in China's time zone. Solar system, a grey, enormous apparatus was currently set up on a moon orbiting Neptune. One of its lenses was currently aimed at the two enormous battleships flying past the distant Jupiter. The huge apparatus immediately flashed several warning lights, and a signal right after. Ever since the Universe scout ship from before sneaked in without a trace on Earth, after Luo Feng left Earth and came to Bailan Star, he immediately ordered a few space-detecting apparatus, separately installing them on several moons within the solar system. This allowed him to know the moment the Nuolan Shan fleet had arrived. China, Hope Survival Base. Ring an ear-piercing warning alarm immediately resounded across the entire 28 floors of the survival base. The solar panels originally placed at the top floor of the base were immediately kept. All of the large windows automatically shut themselves. The initial important pathways and exits too were shut and everyone went into a state of nervousness. Survival Base Underground 12th level. Luo Feng's family, Thunder God's family and Hong's family were living within this spacious living quarters. However, while they were special and privileged because of their relationships to Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God, their personal space was still a grand total of 10-meter area each. Master Meng 2 and Meng 4, the two powerful warriors Luo Feng had left behind, swiftly rushed in. The Universe fleet is arriving Earth soon. Shushin looked at her wrist communicator. This was something Luo Feng had given her. The apparatus's signal transmitter works at light speed, even faster than the speed of the two battleships. However, it'll probably be about an hour. The enemy's interstellar battleships will arrive on Earth. Everyone within the room fell silent. I'll inform Luo Feng and the others. Shushin immediately went to the room beside. Within it lay an untraceable account consciousness transmitting helmet. At the same time, Earth's 5 great countries and 23 bases were informed of the news. They had already known much earlier that the Nuolan Shan family fleet would be arriving in 3 months, hence they had measures prepared for it. After receiving the report, each country began to swiftly put things into motion. The only thing was the upper echelon of Earth, the leaders, were still very worried about the situation. No one knew what would become of their fates. Against a powerful Universe family's fleet from the universe, Earth had no power to resist. Everything could only lie on the hopes of Luo Feng on Jade Rock Star. Jade Rock Star was an important hub surrounded by 6 other huge empires. The Black Dragon Mountain Empire's government station on this planet's main motive was to rely on this planet's location to deter the other surrounding countries and the Silver Blue Empire. It was modern and bustling beyond compare on Jade Rock Star. In a particular oceanside bar, Luo Feng and the other two had rented a little building. Today is already February 21st. That Nuolan Mountain family fleet's arrival on Earth should be today. Thunder God stood outside the villa, looking at the vast sea outside, creasing his eyebrows. Brother Hong, right now third brother hasn't even broken through. Will we really not make it in time? Then all we can do is bear with it. There's still hope. Hong said solemnly. If Luo Feng truly didn't break through in time, then they could only submit Earth's properties, population, etc. to the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, and receive the reward. That way, Earth would belong to the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. The moment it belonged to the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, then Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God would absolutely have no say in Earth's government. Endure, endure, endure. Thunder God's disposition may be very good, but as the days passed one after another, along with the thought of the ever-closing Nuolan Shan family fleet reaching Earth, this sort of pressure, if it were a normal person, he would have lost it much earlier. Even I've broken through to the star level, but third brother still hasn't. Thunder God was originally at the peak of the Star Traveler 9 level. Relying on the Yunmo planet's training secrets, along with being on Jade Rock Star, Luo Feng bought them several assisting treasures. Thunder God became the first to break through to the Star Level 1, while Hong remained in the Star Traveler 9 level. And we don't even know when he might break through. Hong turned around. Through the special translucent wooden paneled window, he saw Luo Feng sitting crossed-legged on the bed. Hong and Thunder God realized. Luo Feng's eyes opened from within the room. Has he broken through? Hong and Thunder God rushed into the room. Luo Feng opened his eyes. It's a call request from Earth. Barbata was currently semi-connected to the virtual universe, just to be able to receive messages. To be able to send out messages, however, required one's full consciousness to enter the virtual universe. When he saw the two seniors rushing into the room with faces of anticipation, Luo Feng shook his head. No, I haven't broken through. It's only that I've received a message request from Earth. From Earth? Hong and Thunder God were shocked. The countries on Earth these past few days wouldn't have deliberately disturbed them. Don't tell me Hong, Thunder God and Luo Feng's expressions became ugly. Let me check. Luo Feng closed his eyes, his consciousness entering the virtual universe. The blue-green planet. Two large objects had just entered the atmosphere, within one of the battleship's control room. Pula and 4 other heirs, via the external image simulator, looked at the clouds covering the beautiful Earth, laughing excitedly. We've finally reached this life planet. After traveling in space for 2 years, it's too long. These 4 heirs had extremely high positions, never actually going through such hardships before. The arduous journey through space that took a total of 2 years, discovered the online network. Already hacked into the planet's network. The control room's AI swiftly hacked into Earth's network, acquiring large amounts of information. That AI didn't know, however, that early 3 months ago, the entire Earth had revamped and cleaned up the entire online network after the incident with the Little Explorer team. There was a mass clearing of the more important information, footage from the net. The person orchestrating the whole cleanup was the AI in charge of maintaining the War God Palace. This planet's name is Earth, radius of about 6,400 kilometers. Surface mass is 5.100 million square kilometer. Of which 29.2% is land while 70.8% is water bodies. The planet's gravitational pull is 0.11 of the universal gravitation unit. This planet's population is close to 7 billion. This planet's fighter numbers. The battleship's AI was swiftly reporting large amounts of data. I'll pass on the good news to teacher. The handsome youth Beulah said and immediately left the control room, entering his private room. Within his room, Beulah swiftly connected his consciousness and entered the virtual universe. Within a 3-story luxurious villa, its walls covered in a beautiful array of flowers. Within a quiet room, Beulah stood within the room, quietly waiting. Beside him a screen appeared. It was blank. The screen suddenly displayed an imposing strong-looking man, his ears pointed, obviously of the same race as Beulah, teacher. Beulah respectfully bowed. This was his teacher, and also Pula Nwolan Shan's grandfather, currently the head of the Nwolan mountain family, Yuku Nwolan Shan, one of the newer and more unconventional heads. Unlike the other heads who liked art and spoke of etiquette, this was a brash and wild head, one who displayed more power than the previous generation of heads. Yuku Nwolan Shan nodded, his eyes fixed on Pula. You've reached that planet? Yes, teacher. Pula said respectfully, this planet's aboriginals call it Earth. Earth? Yuku repeated the word a couple of times. Beulah. Yuku Nwolan Shan said seriously, the planet you've just reached, you have to be extremely careful. Buluo from before has already been out of contact for a total of 3 months. Even the old head has been unable to contact him. He's, most likely already dead. That's why, don't get careless. Understood. Pula nodded. When Buluo Nwolan Shan began not answering to calls, the family didn't think too much of it initially. However, as time passed, and when even the 2 other heads couldn't contact him, the Nwolan Shan family began to suspect that Buluo could have died. Everything will go according to plan. Yuku Nwolan Shan said seriously, with the greatest speed, collect as much of Earth's data as you can and begin sampling. With the interstellar space marker, the data and goods, we can swiftly apply to buy the planet from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire and place our family name on it. When that time comes, whatever we want to check or investigate on Earth, we can do it slowly and leisurely. Yes, teacher. Pula said respectfully, go on. Yuku said. The call ended. Pula's eyes slight squinted. Data, sampling. Pula's consciousness left the virtual universe and returned to reality. More than 10 billion people lived on Jade Rock Star. A posh and luxurious city, within one of its oceanside bars, one could hear the swishing of waves rushing against the beach. Hong and Thunder God sat crossed-legged on the beach, quietly waiting. Behind them, in a quiet house, Luo Feng sat crossed-legged on a bed, his entire being immersed in silence, yet within, he was boiling with anxiety and pressure. His body's training, usually level 1 to 3 is the easiest, 4 to 6 is a little harder, and 7 to 9 is even harder. For person at level 9 to break through, that was the hardest part. As Luo Feng's core was his original core, hence his soul couldn't break through, limited by his human body. His physical body had early on reached the Star Traveler level 6, however to break into level 7 was extremely difficult. Luo Feng had been stuck at this crucial pass for a bit. Whenever he felt like it was about to break through, he didn't seem to be able to. The Nuolan Shan family has already reached Earth. We don't have much time, not much at all. Don't tell me that we really have to resort to the second route, engaging in a mass evacuation of Earth's humans. Close to 7 billion all evacuating, and most of them aren't even at the Star Traveler level. They cannot receive protection from the Empire. When they meet slave traders, if they get kidnapped, we can't even do anything. I can't accept this. I won't accept this. Hurry. 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 It was an emotion unlike never before. That glimmer of hope, Luo Feng's consciousness tremored. Silence. All was silent. His ears could hear the distant waves rushing against the shore. It could hear Hong and Thunder God's uneasy breathing, and also mechanical noises of the clock hung on the wall. With his powerful spirit-reading feel, it seemed like the world had been reborn. It's not the same anymore. Luo Feng opened his eyes, smiling as he looked around. I'm not the same anymore. Luo Feng said softly, Earth isn't the same anymore. Outside the house, Hong and Thunder God turned at the same time and looked within the house. Big brother, second brother. Luo Feng smiled, follow me to the Universe Galaxy Bank. Jade Rock Star, a mid-level civilization, country planet directly controlled by the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. It was an important hub for the 6 big countries surrounding it. Its level of importance was higher than even the low-level civilizations. Naturally, they had a branch of the Universe Galaxy Bank and the Universe First Bank, the 2 giants in the banking industry. At the core of the modern city, land was extremely expensive. A stunning and breathtaking tower was constructed right here. Also, surrounding it was over 3 square kilometers area of grass. In a place where every inch is very expensive, a 3 square kilometers area of no constructs, just plain grass and plant life for decor, this was an extreme luxury and waste of space. Admiration could be seen in the eyes of the humans from other planets walking on the street when they looked towards this building. Just simply because this was the Universe Galaxy Bank, it's so huge. So pretty. Luo Feng and Thunder God raised their heads to look at this art piece-like building, their gaze filled with awe. Definitely has an aura about it. How was it built? Hong's eyes too were gleaming. The 3 brothers from Earth were almost like little countryside people, shocked at the enormous construct. This skyscraper for the Universe Galaxy Bank had completely created the universe river's stereoscopic effect. Just looking at it, it was like facing space head-on. A visual experience that went beyond extraordinary. Last time on Dragon's Star, I visited it once before. But seeing it again, it is breathtaking. Luo Feng couldn't help but compliment. Look, even walking towards the main doors of the bank, the air is different. Thunder God pushed his lips out and pouted, hinting at the distant customers. Luo Feng looked over. Indeed, the occasional customer heading into the Universe Galaxy Bank had an obvious different air about them. After all, the lowest account here was 100 million Black Dragon dollars. A normal planet's wealthiest would probably only have that much. Let's go, let's enter. Luo Feng said, yes. Hong and Thunder God were filled with anticipation. The 3 walked side by side towards the big bank entrance. The distant traffic of people on the streets, noticing these 3 walking towards the bank, were naturally filled with envy. When would it be before they themselves would be able to enter the doors of the Universe Galaxy Bank? The Universe Galaxy Bank's doors were enormous beyond compare, almost like a huge waterfall, like Earth's legends of waterfalls with caves behind them. The only difference was, what seemed like a waterfall here was actually just a result of light reflecting off the door itself. If one who wasn't an old customer of the bank wants to open an account, they have to go that way. Luo Feng said comfortably, however, I am an old customer. You 2 can follow me and we head directly through the main entrance. Entering through the water entrance. The interior was extremely spacious. It was a big hall that warmed the hearts and delighted the eyes of whoever that entered. How are you, sir? Please rest over here for a bit. There are many customers today, my apologies. A beautiful young lady dressed in the bank's corset with its logo smiled as she bowed. understood. Luo Feng noticed that on the sofas, there were already about 12 groups of other customers. Luo Feng and the other two followed the instructions and waited on the 13th sofa. Beside the sofa, a screen automatically appeared. On it displayed various types of menus and pages. Whatever you want to drink, it's all free. Luo Feng said, "Oh." Hong and Thunder God browsed with interest, silently waiting. Groups of customers entered into the offices, more customers formed up behind and queued. When Luo Feng reached third in the line, the hall had 16 groups of people. Luo Feng suddenly felt the originally silent hall rise in commotion. This was a commotion where people kept their voices down. One had to know, to be able to enter the Universe Galaxy Bank, everybody had some sort of status or personal status. No matter how rampant and arrogant one was outside, one still had to work hard to prove one was civilized here, hence a commotion was a rare occurrence. Luo Feng turned to look. 3 people walked into the hall. The one leading them was dressed in a black military uniform. His entire body was fit and sturdy, with a height of 2.1 m, his skin green. In the middle of his forehead there was even a third eye. Beside him, there was an obviously weaker and smaller, but of the same race person, and the last was a person completely covered in a black robe. The one similarity of the 3 was on their left chest. There was a medal, and the picture of the medal was a blood-red wave with a planet on it. This is Luo Feng's pupil strained in the virtual universe network. I've seen those pictures. Thunder God said with a hushed voice. Beside him, Hong's eyes too were gleaming, burning with intensity. The other customers who were conscious of their status were all anxious and held their breaths. Some were looking crazy with respect towards the 3, the others were engaged in hushed discussions. Universe mercenaries. Real universe mercenaries. We actually got to see universe mercenaries. And they are the 1-star mercenaries. 3 universe mercenaries, to be able to see them on Jade Rockstar, this sort of planet, it's too excitement. Incomparable excitement. Including Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God, everyone within the Jade Rockstar branch of the Universe Galaxy Bank was completely filled with excitement. That was because these 3 were within the universe, the most respected, strongest and most valiant organization, the Universe Mercenaries. The universe's #1 power, the Universe Mercenaries Alliance. Over 99% of the powerful fighters, spirit readers would all join the Universe Mercenaries Alliance. Even though the alliance was more lax and dispersed, in the vast universe, no empire would dare to mess with the Universe Mercenaries Alliance. Back then, Luo Feng's teacher, the master of the Yunmo planet Huyang Bo, was one of them. A star traveler would be considered an explorer. Star level, they had the rights to enter the examinations and earn the title of probationary Universe Mercenary. Universe levels had the rights to enter the Universe 1-star Mercenaries examination. Domain lords had the rights to enter the Universe 3-star Mercenaries examinations. One had to actually earn the rights to take part in the examinations. Whether one actually earned the titles depended on the results of the examinations. The tests themselves were incredibly difficult and tough. That was why the authentic Universe 1-star mercenaries were all universe levels that had gone through a tedious selection process. So much so that even domain lords who hadn't passed the 2-star examinations remained as 1-star. This meant the 3 universe mercenaries before everybody were at least 3 universe levels. They might even be domain lords. Universe mercenaries. This was something that instilled and commanded a sense of respect and even worship. They lived in tumultuous situations and experienced dangerous life or death situations time after time. They had an invincible amount of power. This was an alliance within the vast universe that countless human races respected and worshipped. Some others may be universe levels, but they don't have the guts to join and be mercenaries, or have no power at all to pass the examinations. The Universe Mercenaries examinations were called the toughest and strictest of all tests. Its death rate percentage was extremely high. 3 Universe Mercenaries. Luo Feng felt his heartbeat speed up. Fighters able to battle it out on a white dwarf. Hong looked at these 3 Universe Mercenaries, memories surfacing in his mind. As the strongest warrior on Earth for a long time, Hong anticipated as he saw the Universe Mercenaries, who were so much higher up than he was. One day, I too will become a Universe Mercenary. The Universe Mercenaries, this was a gold-plated medal, much stronger than any Universe warrior's ability alone. As they were mercenaries, almost all of them had partners. Their partners too wouldn't be too much weaker, and they would all have experienced life or death situations countless times. Even the Nwolan Mountain family wouldn't dare mess with the 3 universe mercenaries before them. Unless they were prepared for the destruction of their family. 3 respected guests. A rather plump, small-eyed fatty with purplish-red skin, and 2 golden horns on his head, and was dressed in a dark green uniform, sat on the elevator, and appeared in the hall. He ran over and said humbly and respectfully, "I am the Universe Galaxy Bank, Jade Rockstar's branch president, Petri. My 3 respected guests, please follow me." Okay. The leading universe mercenary creased his eyebrows slightly, his third eye briefly scanning the fat branch president, nodding. After that, the 3 universe mercenaries followed the branch president and immediately sat in the elevator and went up the tower. At once, the bubble burst within the hall and a huge commotion erupted. It was actually 3 universe mercenaries. Universe mercenaries. And 2 of them are pishy race people. The other one was wrapped from head to toe, so it was hard to discern. Second uncle, why did they go up? Doesn't this Universe Galaxy Bank work on its operations on the first floor? Normal customers are handled here, the star customers are all above. What determines a star customer? No idea. Anyway, even our company's main person in charge, with properties and wealth in the trillions, still is only a regular customer in the Universe Galaxy Bank, not even reaching the 1-star customer grade requirements. Within the bank's big hall, many groups of people were actively discussing. Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God too couldn't help but discuss in hushed voices. From what I see, these 3 mercenaries are probably 1-star clients. Thunder God said, maybe, after all the star clients' requirements are absurd. Luo Feng said. During their discussion, the personnel in charge of the queue had already reached Luo Feng. Sir, it's your turn. The bank's service personnel was incredibly respectful. First and second brother, I'll be back shortly. Luo Feng said. Under the instructions of the service personnel, he entered the reception room within. I would like to make a transfer. Luo Feng told the personnel within the reception room, may I know the number of your account? Within the reception room, the beautiful personnel said with a smile. Barbata had told Luo Feng the account number earlier on. At this time, Luo Feng was extremely excited. This was one of the 3 accounts left behind by his teacher for him. The 3 accounts were separately for the star level, universe level, domain lord level to acquire. This first account's amount of money was probably the smallest, however, for someone as big as the master of the Yunmo planet. Even just a strand of hair itself would be extremely thick. 84, 92, 85, 93 woks, 8,528, 5,285, 032. Luo Feng held his breath, reporting the account number. Please wait a moment. The personnel worked swiftly within the reception room, before quietly waiting for the universe network to transfer the details. This is the personnel, who originally had big enough eyes, stared so hard they almost looked the size of fists, pupils filled with shock. After, she turned to look at Luo Feng with shock, trembling as she said, respected guest, please wait a moment. I have to inform the branch president. Finishing, she turned and ran out. Just after leaving, she ran back in, extremely nervous as she looked at Luo Feng, respected customer, there will be someone else taking care of your needs, please wait a moment. Finishing, she left swiftly. The Universe Galaxy Bank, Jade Rockstar Branch, 9th level. The branch president Petri was smiling and respectfully talking to the 3 universe mercenaries, working on their documents, even though it's troublesome, but it'll be finished really quickly, please wait a moment. On such a place like Jade Rockstar, even he would only occasionally have to deal with 1-star clients. After all, the requirements to reach the 1-star level is extremely high. At this time, Hua. The door was immediately yanked open. The 3 universe mercenaries turned to look, their faces revealing signs of dissatisfaction. The leader of the group, the pishy 3-eyed race human's gaze was ice cold towards the person barging in. What's the matter? The branch president was extremely dissatisfied. How could one barge in while he was receiving important guests? A lady along with a similar fat man with 2 horns entered, both gazing straight with distress at the branch president. Petri was slightly alarmed. These 2, one of them was the vice president while the other was a service personnel. Petri got the hint and told the 3 people with a bow, please wait a moment. As he finished, he swiftly left and closed the door. What's the matter? The president creased his eyebrows and looked at the 2 of them. Little brother, Don't you know I'm currently entertaining 3 one-star customers? This is a big deal. I know. The fat vice president, who looked similar to the president's forehead, was filled with perspiration. However, this is even bigger. What's the matter? The President Petrie seemed shocked. Let's talk in the private room. The other personnel said. The president squinted his eyes. The reception room for the 3 universe mercenaries was a special room made for such special guests. Even spirit energy couldn't pass through. Absolutely soundproof. It even blocked many different kinds of signals. And the private room was the Universe Galaxy Bank's even more prestigious room for important matters. Even undying beings would have trouble eavesdropping. Very quickly, the 3 reached the private room. Within the private room, the president looked at the personnel and said, "Speak, what's the matter?" "Big matter." The vice president choked and cleared his throat. "President." The personnel's face was flushed from excitement. She said softly, "There's a client downstairs looking to withdraw money and transfer accounts. His account is a 5-star account." "What?" The president's face immediately went pale. My God. Many planets' Universe Galaxy Bank branch presidents would occasionally meet a 1-star client. They were incredibly rare, even to the point where it took decades to meet a single 2-star client. And one may not even meet a 3-star client in one's lifetime, much less the legendary 5-star client. One had to know, even universe-level warriors, to be a 1-star client was pretty decent already. 5-star account, what does that signify? A client with a 5-star account can buy planets like they were candy. A place like the Silver Blue Empire's low-level civilizations, in front of this client, was like ants. Even in the vast universe, even in the universe high-level civilizations, empires, he would still be a person of high status. One breath, and he could order hundreds of millions of people to become slaves, hundreds of millions of people to rise up below him, such a terrifying force and presence, 5-star account. The president was completely dumbfounded. Right, brother, if you don't believe me, you can check for yourself. Right now the entire bank's control settings have been completely transferred and controlled by AIS. Our every word and movement is being monitored. Before, if we actually dared to mention anything about the 5-star client outside the private room, the bank's AI would have immediately killed us. The vice president's head was covered in cold sweat. The president too decided to wipe his own head. The Universe Galaxy Bank, such a powerful and enormous bank, definitely placed its clients before everything else. Especially the 5-star clients. These sort of clients placed their wealth within the bank and the bank used that money to circulate and invest. The revenue generated every day had huge amounts of profits. These sort of clients, if their secrecy were ever to be divulged, even if it meant destroying one whole planet, the Universe Galaxy Bank would do whatever it took to protect the client's secrecy and not leak out any information.